April 29th, 2013, my birthday. I was in my late teens when the idea struck me that I had little more than a decade to determine what I could accomplish with a young man's body, when I'd be at the athletic peak of my life. Knowing what I was ultimately capable of became important to me. I didn't want to grow old wondering how strong I could have been. One way I've come to measure myself is to run my age in miles on my birthday. I've done this every year since I was 22. Each time was the farthest in my life I've ever run. I never finished with speed or grace. The point was not to succeed easily, but to test my mettle. Today, I turned 29 years old, but instead of running my age, I am bicycling around the world. This journey is my capstone attempt at realizing what I am ultimately capable of. I left early this morning before anyone showed up at the park. Using my map, I got myself onto the shortest route leading to Romania. The road was long and straight, without traffic, and with nothing but farm fields around. I waved at a shepherd standing by the road with his 5 cows. He looked at me with confusion and surprise. A few miles later, I arrived at an abandoned border station. The map failed to capture that detail. I had no need to sneak into Romania, so I turned around to find another way. 40 minutes after waving to the shepherd, I was waving at him again. He knew I was heading towards a dead end and appeared to be expecting me when I returned. Pulling into the main square of the next town, I'd barely stopped when a man in his 50s came running across the street to say hello. I could see his excitement, and he told me to wait for a moment while he ran off. I watched him go to a nearby magazine stand, then come back with a gift of a pen and a pack of mints. An odd gift, but I accepted graciously. His 80-year-old mother was on the opposite side of the street, and together we slowly walked a half-mile to their home. The man's name was Tabor. He was energetic and excitable, always smiling. I liked him. His mother, too, was a sweet woman. I told her I was bicycling to China, and I saw a deep motherly concern settle over her face. She sat down with a look of worry. The sincerity of her reaction was touching. I'm not sure what language they spoke, but they were undeterred in trying to talk to me. We sat on folded chairs behind their small brick home and tried to communicate. After a time, Tabor switched to props. He brought out his pitchfork, astronomy book, and atlas before taking me inside to show me pictures on an old beige computer with a dim CRT monitor. After a slow boot up, he clicked through a dozen photos of a grass field and explained that he had broken up the soil with a pickaxe to prepare the land for crops. He said the job took him 2 years, and he seemed proud of the result. More recently, he hasn't been able to find any work. Tabor's mother made us all lunch: baked eggs, cooked sausage, lettuce, and a bowl of broth. They offered me the shower to use, and I also washed my shirt and socks in the sink. Tabor suggested I take a nap while my clothes dried in the sun. He ushered me into a bedroom and closed the door. Within the safety of 4 walls, I let my guard down and slept easily. When I was ready to go, Tabor joined me to bike to the next town. The temperature was 90 degrees, and he rode with me for 40 minutes on his rusty single-speed. I could see him trying hard, and his shirt quickly became wet with sweat. I stopped us and gave him my water bottle to drink from. He drank awkwardly, holding the bottle with both hands and shaking the water into his mouth. Seemingly, this was his first time using a squeezable bottle. Tabor and I parted ways at a quiet intersection surrounded by farmland. I tried to convey my appreciation and shook his hand, thanking him. 2 women were there hitchhiking the same direction I was going, and as I was leaving, Tabor explained my trip to them. I waved goodbye, and they all waved back. A half hour later, I was at the next intersection and saw the same 2 women. I asked them which way to Romania, and they pointed me in the proper direction. At the last town in Serbia, I stopped to fill my water bottle at a tiny ice cream and hamburger shop. I spent the last of my Serbian money on 2 hamburgers and 2 ice creams. I was showing my bike to a couple boys when a sharp young man with his pretty wife arrived. The man said hello and introduced himself as Alexander. He spoke fluent English, so we talked while I ate. I told him I planned to sleep nearby, then cross into Romania in the morning. He explained that camping in Serbia is very dangerous and that I should never try. I told him about camping in the park last night, and he said if the police had found me, they would have wanted a bribe. When he offered me a room for the night in his own house, I accepted. Together with his wife, we walked across town to where he lives with his grandfather. Alexander grew up in Germany and learned English there. He moved to Serbia because he is currently exiled from the EU for 3 years over drug-related charges. He, along with his wife and grandfather, are all supported by money sent from his father, who lives off of disability benefits in Germany. Alexander explained that Serbia is an inexpensive place to live, that there is no work here. A typical job he could get would pay only $1.50 an hour, a wage so low he can't bring himself to do such work, so he spends his days at home with his wife. They are a young couple. Alexander is 23 and his wife is 19. They've been married for 4 years. I asked him about marrying so young. He said that this was common in gypsy culture. He said women live in the homes of their parents and cannot have sex until they are married. The result is a lot of teenage marriages. I asked if the rules are the same for men, and he is quick to say that he has slept with many women growing up in Germany. The wedding appeared to be the result of those cultural differences. He was staying here, where their family is from, when he met his wife. I don't know how long the courtship was. He skipped ahead to the part where her family is threatening to kill him. Alexander's father had to fly in from Germany to sort things out with a threat that they were not to lay one finger on his son. Perhaps the marriage will work out just fine, though. They seem like a happy couple. Alexander was forced to sell his guitar a couple months ago when they needed the money. He asked if he could borrow mine for the night to serenade his wife. I got the guitar out for him, and he gave us a little show, performing Roxanne by the Police and a few other songs. He's talented, and I asked if he played in a band. He said he learned during the 3 years he spent in a German prison. If he hadn't told me, I would have never suspected his troubled past. Tonight, I'm sleeping in a separate outbuilding of crumbling bricks. I think its original purpose was for a horse and carriage. The room is bare except for a Persian rug and an old mattress big enough for one. The night is quiet, and I'm comfortable. This was a great birthday.